sun sets, the undead awaken. To slake their hunger, they feed upon the herd of unaware mortals. Right beneath our noses, the kindred clash against their rivals as they vie for control of the city of San Francisco. Are you strong enough to cheat final death and see another night? Vampire the Masquerade Rivals expandable card game from Renegade Game Studios.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Vampire Wednesdays. I hope everybody had a nice holiday. I'm here with Matt Hyra. Matt, how was your holiday?
Just fine. Actually made it down to New Orleans with my wife.
Nice.
Neither of us had been. It was a crazy time to be there, obviously with COVID, but whatever. The city is pretty good about masks and needing vaccinations to get into restaurants, but it was Monday Night Football at the Superdome, then New Year's Eve, and then the Sugar Bowl on Saturday. So it was
madness.
It was crazy down there.
There's a lot of very, very good food down there. So I am a little envious.
Very good.
I spent my holiday in far, far northern Minnesota, virtually Canada, where it's even colder than where it is in normal Minnesota where I live. But
yeah, I got a question. Did I meet any vampires down there? I'm sure that I did, but they didn't let me know, So I did visit a graveyard and took a haunted walking tour as well. So
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, we have some news tonight. I know we have a lot more people here than usual, so people may have seen hints at what's coming. But before we get to that, we have a couple of news items. One, it has been brought to our attention that a lot of the stores in Europe don't have any of these expansions yet. We know there's been some shipping problems. A lot of the stuff with, I believe it was Wolf and the Rat, along with some other vampire products like the Savant source book for the RPG. Those were actually held up by this ransomware attack that hit Alliance, which is our main warehouse in Fort Wayne. So in addition to all the other shipping delays that have been affecting the industry, that was an extra month or so of just absolute deadlock while they sorted through that. So my understanding is Sabat, Wolf and the Rat, that stuff should all be hitting European distributors this month and be in your hands shortly. So my apologies to people who are waiting for their store to get it, or retailers who are waiting to get that into the hungry hands of their customers. But we are doing our best to deal with the just general shipping situation with a couple of extra wrenches thrown in the gears lately. Additionally, if you were around here right before the holidays, we did get the deck builder up and running on the website. So if you're on the vampirerivals.com website, you just click on cards. That'll load up a full featured deck builder. You can create a deck, you can share it, you can export it, all that kind of stuff. I've seen a couple users on there creating some pretty interesting decks. Great way to build one for just kind of theory craft, or to build one and then share it on Discord or Facebook and get other people's opinions on the deck. So highly recommend that. And last order of business is event listings. If you are a TO or a store, or even just a player who's running events, we have event listings up now on the organized play page for Vampire. You can actually submit your own, and then I can go back in on the back end and approve those so they show up. So that could be anything from a special tournament to a weekly game night, all that kind of stuff. We can just put up there and make it easy for people to find the games that you're running and come participate. And as we get our calendar set up here with the events very soon, we'll be adding the official Renegade events too. But enough with the housekeeping. Matt, people are here because we said the next expansion. So tell me a little bit about Shadows and Shrouds, the third expansion
the
for
worst
Rivals.
The worst kept secret, right? we gave it away on Facebook, and we gave it away on our online store as well. So what was the question again? Yes.
Tell me about Shadows and Shrouds, expansion number 3.
Shadows, clan Lasombra, and Shrouds, clan Hecata. So they both use Oblivion, but they use it in different ways. So
and Lasombra was the winner of our fan poll a while back. So People
Yes.
wondering when they were going to show up. This was the kind of the first slot that wasn't already done or very far down the track, as I understand it.
Yeah, we had to guess what the favorites were, and Tremere was what we saw mostly in the survey and just the chat with the Kickstarter, and we wanted to pair them up with the Thin Bloods, just to get them out there.
Sure.
But yeah, and then we're like, well, Gangrel, Nosferatu, pretty popular, but we didn't know.
And they go together nicely thematically with all the animal stuff. Like,
yeah,
I've liked how those expansions kind of have that theme.
By the time the Kickstarter was going, we were already in development on Wolf and Rat, so we needed the we needed the spurt. We needed to hear about what else, what else is everyone interested in. But yeah, we're happy to finally get the fan pick in there. And
this is very similar in sort of the form factor to both Blood and Alchemy and Wolf and the Rat, right? 2 new clans, bringing the total to 10. Pre-con decks for both.
Yep.
Crypt pack full of customization.
Crypt pack with extra stuff. Yep.
It's a lot of new options.
Even a couple extra tokens in this one as well. So,
yes, which we will talk about.
We'll get to
the Wraith token.
Indeed.
And I have some guesses about how it works, but I'm interested to see myself.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about Lasombra. Lasombra,
yeah.
The name connotates shadow to me, because I know sombra or something like that is shadow in Spanish, or darkness maybe. That's kind of one of their themes, right?
Yeah, the dark, yeah. So the Lasombra are they're kind of the overachievers. They're the winners. Like, winning is everything to them. They like to be the biggest on the block, the flashiest maybe, I don't know. They like to prove themselves, show their worth, and they want victories. So yeah, there we go. Lasombras is the shadows. Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, and in addition, so Oblivion is a shared discipline between the two clans, and they use them differently. The Lasombra, being the shadow, will be able to use their shadow tentacles to reach into places where others cannot. So
what is Oblivion? Like, we know presence or some of the other different disciplines.
Yeah,
what would you describe
are
Oblivion as?
Dominate, Oblivion, and Potence.
Yep.
While Hecata are Auspex, Fortitude, and Oblivion. Yep.
And just the Oblivion discipline, kind of what is that in general? Yeah,
it is yeah, well, what's a good way to say it? Oblivion, let me see here.
I've got a wiki, and tell me if this is kind of what your design ethos for it was. So it allows users to draw on something wholly unnatural, calling forth supernatural darkness from the abyss and enslaving specters through Oblivion. Does that sound kind of what they do?
That sounds pretty good. I didn't have that on the tip of my tongue because that's a lot to go through. But in general, yeah, it's the shadows are at their beck and call. They have access to rituals and wraiths, things like that. They work in the shadows. It's kind of the cliche is true, I guess. And yeah, Oblivion it's not like they want to. Oblivion has baggage with it from the word, but it's not like they're looking to scour the earth of all of humanity or anything like that and cause carnage across the globe. But yeah, it's basically, they're all about shadows and spirits, things like that. So Oblivion is darkness. Think of it that way instead of wrath.
Sure. Or like not the apocalypse or the apocalyptic connotation or
right.
End of times thing. Cool. And then the Hecata, they're some nasty folk, aren't they? They have some questionable habits and activities.
Well, they're obsessed with death, and you will certainly get that impression when you play them. They are, so while the Lasombra have a little bit of that reach ability, the Hecata have ceremonies. Now, ceremonies in the role-playing game are very close to rituals, and we didn't want to create a separate set of rules for something that is so similar. Mm-hmm. So there are some synergies between the different between the Tremere rituals and the Hecata rituals, ceremonies, basically, which we call rituals. Just so that people don't have to learn infinite new subtle variations. There is a variation on how the rituals get their tokens, however. Other than that, they work pretty much the same.
Cool. I mean, that's elegant, though. That is cutting down on rules overhead and kind of repurposing a mechanic they've already come up with.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. Well, I know a lot of people have been waiting for both these clans, and I think as we've seen with the other expansions that there are people who are interested in playing Rivals, but they are just very passionate about a certain clan. So every time we add clans, I feel like we're bringing in new players who've been waiting for Lasombra, who've been waiting for Hecata, or been waiting for any number of clans. So I think that's pretty exciting to add some more here to the fray.
Indeed.
Let's take a look at a couple of cards, and then let us talk more about the play style and exactly how
not too much though, right? We're just giving a taste right here, right?
This is just the first little sip, and then we will do the usual thing where we'll go through the actual pre-cons and stuff later on. But we just want to show everybody a little bit about how they work.
We'll start the speculation,
Exactly. So Katie, if you could throw up the first card, it should be what's his name? Yeah, this guy, Marcus.
Holy Marcus.
Marcus Kumnyama. So right away, there's a new keyword there.
I mentioned they can use their shadow tendrils to reach into places. Well, literally the word reach. Yeah, it just means that this character may attack characters in the streets from your haven. Now, recall that characters are other vampires, not mortals. Mortals are not characters. So you're not going to go after vagrants, citizens, and SAD with this, but if there are vampires in the streets, you can use your long shadow ability to attack them from the protection of your haven.
And the other thing that really stands out immediately is as this character performs an action, place one agenda from the general supply on them. Is that like a bounty almost?
It can be. It's more like, look at me and how awesome I am. I can walk around town with $100 bills falling out of my pocket, and who's going to challenge me is kind of a better way to think of it. They're kind of a, arrogant clan, full of themselves, want to be the big boys on the block. Don't worry, they're not just there for bounty. They're also there to do tricky things with. So having agenda on your characters is going to be a bonus if you can manage it. But if you can't manage it, it could be a penalty if your opponents are taking them out.
So if Marcus has 2 agenda on him and he is eliminated by someone or sent into torpor, they will get that agenda?
They will score that agenda, yeah. Nice. Yeah, I see that we already have a question about that. Is it from the player supply or is there general supply? Yeah, it's a general supply of agenda. Players do not have to pull a certain amount of agenda into their area. You can just have it out there.
Prestige, which is worth noting, that's all you always have exactly 32, and you can run out.
Right, your prestige is colored to you. It is, even though there is a general supply of it, it is yours because it is colored to your colors. Agenda is not colored to anyone, so it is all generic. So yeah.
Tamir Love, thanks for joining us even at 2 a.m. in the morning. That is true dedication. Right. Or, I mean, if you're kindred, maybe that's not a big deal at all. You just woke up. Okay, so Marcus,
where is 2 in the morning? It's got to be like somewhere Eastern Europe, maybe. Who knows?
Croatia. You were nailed
Croatia. Hey, I was pretty close. All right.
So Marcus is the default leader for the Lasombra clan. 6 potents.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, he's a strong guy. Yeah, he's got the three different disciplines: dominate, oblivion, and potence. So they have some pretty good disciplines to back up their claims of being awesome. Their disciplines are pretty awesome. So
I will say I like this art piece, but the alt art that you can get for pre-ordering this this expansion of him, actually of both leaders, the alt arts are phenomenal.
And after this is over, you can go over to the Renegade store and see those alternate arts, because why not? Let's just
and
give it
pre-order.
all away. If you pre-order, that's right.
Yeah. So that's Marcus. I like him. I'm really, what makes me just very curious about the
let me mention one
what the
thing.
agenda
So
does.
let me mention one thing about the wording. So it's as this character performs an action. So that means you're going to place that token onto him as during the exhaust to perform an action, and that is not making an attack action, right? That's just any or playing an action card that is performing any action, whether it's an attack, playing an action card, things like that.
Yeah, it's just so it's so hard for me to picture. If I'm using him often, he's going to become a very, very valuable target.
Yep.
And you're going to have some things to protect him, which I just think that's kind of cool. Risk versus reward. Let's see their haven, because maybe that has some hints or synergies.
This might give away this might give away a little bit of this. Is one of the ways that the Lasombra are going to use the agenda on the characters. So one thing I will mention, which is not card based, but the Lasombra are also, because they like to be the big boys on the block, they have high BP values. They don't have any little 2s and 3s running around. They're big timers. Maybe they have a 3, I don't even remember. But in general, they are costed on the high side. And this haven, the Tenderloin is a district is a neighborhood of San Francisco. You can remove agenda from X different sources you control. So what does that mean? It means people like Marcus, or your agenda card, or any of your other
one
vampires.
From each,
right?
Not multiple from Marcus or something.
Right. So let's say that you had one agenda on Marcus and one agenda on your agenda card, and you wanted to recruit a 5-cost vampire. You could remove an agenda from Marcus and your agenda card, and that would reduce the prestige cost of recruiting that 5 down to only 3. And then, of course, you get to add the remaining blood from the general supply of your color. So that is one of the nice ways that they get to use that agenda on them before anyone comes around to smack them down and claim that bounty.
That's pretty cool. So yeah, that's just another way to use an existing resource and token in the game, and a cool way to kind of get those higher level vampires into play.
That's right.
This is very, very interesting to me. I want to see more. In fact, let's see what their agenda is.
Fair enough.
How that interacts. So yeah, you could spend agenda that is potentially your win condition to do some of these things. Right. Because maybe you're going to go for a different
right. You might want to go for a coterie knockout, and so you want to get a couple more heavy hitters into play, and so you're like, maybe I don't need the agenda on my agenda card right now, or maybe there's ways I can get the agenda off of Marcus and onto the agenda card, like Prize Fighter. So this Prize Fighter ability is similar to Marcus. Marcus gets one whenever he performs an action. Prize Fighter is more of, hey, let's go show people how dominant we are. And when you attack a character, you get to put one agenda on your attacker. At the end of your turn, you put one agenda from a character in your coterie on your agenda card. So it doesn't even have to be the person who just made that attack. It's anyone, because it could be important for recruiting with the Tenderloin to get agenda onto several different people. You might even be able to recruit someone for 1 or 2 prestige, if you've got enough guys out there.
Okay. It makes sense. And we had a question in here. We didn't actually mention this yet. Tobin Lopez asking when this is going to be releasing. The plan is March or maybe April, depending on shipping and the process here. So this is not
Based
going
on
to be
our
too far
shipping,
out.
based on our shipping woes, we'll say April, and then we'll hope that it's we'll hope for March, but
Try to under promise and over deliver for once when it comes to shipping. But
Right.
yeah, this is not too far out.
Mhm.
So we expect to have this in people's hands Q1, early Q2, depending.
Yeah, the other thing about Prize Fighter is it's not the first attacker. It's anytime you attack, you're going to do that. But the end of turn is just one agenda. So you can actually collect 2 agenda per turn if you want to make 2 attacks, but you're only going to score 1 of that onto your agenda card at end of turn. Of course, you might knock out the person you were going after. If you knock out a rival, you're going to score even more agendas. So it's an aggressive agenda there.
And this can be used. I think it's worth pointing out, this doesn't have to be on Lasombra. This could be used in a Bruja.
Anybody can do this.
Anybody can use this.
Anyone can do it. They're not other clans are not going to have as many tricks with the agenda, but you know, if you like the idea of it, and maybe you have a deck that does some aggressive parrying, you know, you've got some reaction cards that can strike back. You might want to have your characters with 2 agenda on them and tempt someone to come at you, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm going to smack back at you with a slap in the face or a baseball bat, things like that. So it could be a way to coax people into attacking you.
True. Very
if
true.
You want them to, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. We also have one more card from the Lasombra Precon in here that it's up on some of the sales material. So we'll go ahead and spoil
it got
here
spoiled.
And talk about
we weren't originally going to show it, but we'll show it because it got spoiled, and we'll talk about it just because.
You guys get an extra taste here with the 3rd expansion. So Tenebrous Avatar, this is a 5 blood potency reaction, and that's a reaction
first.
To anything?
It is available against all attack types. Yes, indeed. It is 5 BP, so not everyone's going to be able to use it. Only 1 shield to start out with, right, for such a large thing. But if you have Oblivion and can pay 1 agenda, you get +4 shield during that attack.
And that's
You're probably going to
pay
survive.
From the defender or pay from anywhere?
All right, that is one of the rules of when you have a card that is being played by a character that has an agenda cost to it, you can remove the agenda from that character, the acting character, or your agenda card.
That was my
guess. Your agenda card can fuel anyone in your coterie, but if you want to use an agenda on a character, it's got to be on that particular character. So if Marcus gets attacked, he's got Oblivion, he can pay 1 agenda off of himself or off of the agenda card to gain 4 shields against the attack, which should see you surviving it. So maybe those people coming at you for the bounty won't have such an easy time of it.
That is a heck of a card.
That is a heck of a card.
And that is it's not Lasombra specific, so potentially Hecata could use this too, but they would need to have a way to get the agenda on them, or I guess just pay off their card. Yeah,
they could just grab it off of their, it's oftentimes, if you've got, it could be round 4 and you've got 3 agenda and you're like, wow, you're about ready to take out my leader who's got a citizen and a vagrant. I think it's probably worth it to lose 1 agenda so you don't gain an agenda by knocking me out, and I keep my character and all the attachments, and there you go. So it can be worth it.
Well, that is pretty cool. So that's all we're going to show of Lasombra. It gives people some ideas, but there's a lot more to talk about and to discuss different ways to use agenda. But let's jump back, Katie, to
go back to the beginning and then cycle through, or
our
I don't know how we can do it. Go back to Annika, yeah.
Annika also has a ridiculously cool alt art where she's got the kind of sugar skull makeup a la Dia de los Muertos, and just phenomenal. Speaking of the alt arts, you get the alt arts for pre-ordering. We are going to be starting right now, running a pre-order, much like we have. We've had one ongoing here on the Vampire mini site for a while. So on vampirerivals.com, click on shop. We've got selected products available there, and those are available worldwide. So people in Canada, people in Australia, people in Asia, places that can't normally order from our usual web store, this pre-order is for you. If you are in the United States, the EU, or the United Kingdom, you are welcome to order there as well. You can also order on our normal website. That's just totally fine too. But this will be a limited time, about a 1 month pre-order window for folks that are outside of those 3 regions that are normally served by our web store. Mexico too included. Anybody who needs to order can order through the Vampire site, and we'll get that shipped out to them. So it's a little bit different from our past CrowdOx pre-orders, but it accomplishes the same purpose of letting everybody get access to these promos. And as before, your stores can request these too when they are ordering the product. So if you want to buy from your friendly local game store, by all means do, and they can get the early release kit with the promos from their distributor. So on to Hecata.
Hecata, yep.
Hecata.
Yep. Annika is the de facto leader of the pre-con. I do want to point out the cool, if you look up in her title area, the cool symbol, the symbology, as a clan obsessed with death, those are skulls with ritual markings on them. So it's I think that's one of the coolest little frames. If you haven't noticed, yeah, every clan has a unique frame styling to them. So yeah. Even the border around the disciplines is slightly different for every clan. You should check it out sometime. But anyway, so the Hecata are into ceremonies, which we have converted into rituals because they're so similar. We want to keep the rules tight and a lot of cross compatibility available. Now, Annika, her ability is, as you play ritual, you may move 1 blood from any number of your characters in torpor to that ritual. So you recall me saying that the Hecata are a clan obsessed with death. Well, going into torpor for them is not that big of a deal. They don't mind it, I should say. Being in torpor will sometimes be beneficial to them. You've seen it so far on Bad Penny. She has a torpor ability. I will tell you that the Hecata have several characters with torpor abilities, and you will find ways to get your characters into torpor rather easily. And yeah, there you go.
So somebody was saying, oh, that ability doesn't look that great, but maybe with some of the tools and things that the Hecata have, there is a little bit more to it than they initially suspect.
Yeah. It basically the Oblivion rituals have a different way of putting blood on them, and this allows you to get additional blood on there, because with your torpor, with some of these torpor abilities, you actually would rather have that character in torpor than in play. So keeping them in torpor will require you to remove some blood from them, and then you'll probably profit more from them in torpor than you would if they were in your haven. And she is a good way to do that. Note that this ability does not require, can be used on the what am I trying to say, the Tremere rituals as well. So it's not just the Oblivion rituals.
Nice. All right. So I want to see some more. I want to see maybe the Haven.
All right. So obsessed with death.
That's
yeah, you could imagine people obsessed with death would like to party down at a mortuary. So they do. And this one has interesting wording, especially remove 2 blood from a character in your coterie. The parenthetical is interesting. This may reduce them to 0. You'll recall in the core rules, you can't pay for something that would knock out. You can't make a blood payment that would knock out your own character unless the card says otherwise, of course, right? Well, here's one of those exceptions. So this allows you to burn city deck vagrants or citizens that are hanging out uncontrolled in the street. And that will be very important for playing the Oblivion rituals, which we'll see for a moment. So this is kind of a double-edged sword, or kind of a two-pronged sword, whatever, double-bladed. It's a good way to get some of your characters into torpor, and it's also a good way to power up what will be to power up what's going to fuel your rituals as well, which we'll probably see in a moment.
I'm very curious why Coyote calls this the Jesus blender. I'm sure there's a story behind that. What is the agenda then?
Yeah, well, hopefully we have it. There we go. Death is only the beginning. There you go.
Weird.
This agenda, slightly different. You'll notice it has an exhaust ability. We want you to be able to claim the agenda when you want to during your turn. So exhaust. If you have 1+ characters in torpor, gain 1 agenda. If you have 3+ in torpor, gain 2 agenda instead. So if you can get a bunch of characters into torpor, you will have a good shot at gaining a bunch of agenda this way. And while they're in torpor, if they have a torpor ability, you will be profiting from them being in there.
Kurikaiwa, something like that, has a question from the last card. Do you also get the burn rewards when you burn mortals this way? So
you do not. You do not. That is a choice you make for when defeating them, to burn or to attach. And in this case, you're not defeating them, so you don't get to do that option. This stuff is mentioned in the rule book, so yeah. But it's a good question.
Yep. So yeah, somebody said you could run this with Thin Bloods, sort of in a way.
You could. Thin Bloods don't last very long in torpor, so it would be tough to do it that way. If you put them into you can only exhaust this during your own turn. True. So yeah, it's not. It probably
then they'll all come back. Your 1 cost will come right back at the start of your turn.
Yeah, you do have to. When we saw the Haven there, where you're removing blood from your own characters, trying to get them into torpor, you do have to convert one of your prestige to blood to put on them. Okay. Yep. I will say that the Hecata have much smaller characters, or on the small side. They're not Thin Bloods, but they're on the smaller side. They have some 2s, for instance. But I will also say that while you will lose prestige when your characters go into torpor by the Haven and things like that, they do have ways of gaining prestige back. Pretty nice. Some pretty nice ways of getting prestige back. So,
and I now understand the context for the Jesus comment about the blender. That also doesn't work, right? Because Jesus triggers when he's defeated, not. It is defeating them. Yeah, reducing your own character to 0 blood is defeating them. The defeating is just reducing a character to 0 blood. So you are defeating your character. If there's a defeat trigger, that will happen. Mm-hmm. And Ryan, what is Jesus? I'm looking him up right now, but you.
Yeah, Watt News says you need to exhaust the agenda. Yes, you exhaust the agenda because we want you to be able to. If it was end of turn, some of your characters would come out of torpor and you wouldn't get credit for them. So we wanted to give you
choose when to use it.
Yeah, we wanted to give you the exact timing on when you want to do it. When you're done putting characters into torpor. So you'll be like, all right, I'm going to put 1 more character to torpor to get to 3+. Now I'm going to exhaust it. I'm going to gain 2 agenda. One of them's probably going to come back at end of turn. At that point, you'd be like, oh man, I wish I could have had that extra guy in there. Well, we're giving it to you. And of course, you'll be able to exhaust it each turn, during each of your turns to do that, as long as you can keep guys in there.
And it does not take an action. It's just an exhaust.
Nope, not an action.
Jesus' ability is when this character is defeated, you may pay 1 prestige to gain an agenda. So yeah, possibly an interesting synergy there. He's also 2 blood potency. So
yep.
You can bounce him back and forth.
Yeah, that would be, it would cost you a lot of prestige to do that trick, but the Hecata do have a couple of cards that can get you a decent amount of prestige back.
Awesome. Real quick, Katie, check your Slack messages because I sent you something else we can show people. That'll be a little fun bonus for the end. I almost forgot about. All right,
Cool.
let's see the other card, the last one, I believe. Summon Spirit. So this
All
is
right.
one of the rituals of the ceremonies.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite art pieces, so it's kind
It
of
is
fun.
pretty awesome.
Yeah,
Joyce does
so
amazing work.
yeah, Summon Spirit. So oh yeah, do you this card makes wraiths? Do we have a wraith to show? Is that what the message was?
No, we have that. We have a wraith
Okay,
to
we
show,
have it
but
ready.
there's another thing to show.
Okay, good. All right,
as
so
well.
Summon Spirit, 2 actions, ritual ongoing. You will note it, that will seem familiar to you if you have Blood and Alchemy and have seen the Tremere rituals. These are Oblivion rituals. They don't work off of pulling blood off of characters. Instead, they look to the burned mortals, which is the city deck burn pile.
Okay.
So your haven, the Eternal Life Mortuary, where you're collecting a lot of bodies, is going to power up your rituals, okay? So Oblivion, for each burned mortal, you may put 1 blood from the general supply on this card. Now, let's say there's 5, let's say that there's 5 burned mortals in there. You could put 5 blood onto this ritual if you wish. Keep in mind, however, you do have a limit to your total blood. So if you play too many rituals with 5 blood on them, you may not have enough blood to mend your own characters. So that's why we say may. And with Summon Spirit, this is a ritual that requires 2 blood to be removed from it. So in fact, if there are 5 burned mortals, you might only want to put 4 blood on it, because then you can use it twice. Having 1 extra blood on it doesn't really do much for you unless you find a way to add another to it.
Could you still use the abilities that add blood to a ritual in the Tremere decks to add blood to this?
Yes, like Fook Dean, he has just a, pay 1 blood, put 1 blood on a ritual you control. Works just as fine to put it on here as it does on one of the Tremere rituals. So what does it do when you remove 2? You get to create a wraith and attach it to a character in your coterie. And wraiths are ghosts, the soul of mortals who have some purpose in their life that they have not achieved, and they're willing to do the bidding of a vampire host, to fulfill those things. Okay. Question, it checks the whole burn pile. Yes, there's only a single burned pile, and all burned mortals go there. And so you look at them, and you don't remove them from the pile when you play the ritual. They stay there. So if there's 5 burned mortals in there, there's going to be 5 burned mortals in there until someone finds a way to bring them out. I think the Nosferatu can bring vagrants out of the city deck burn pile. That might be about the only way right now.
Yep. So yeah, people are burning them for the effect. After defeating them, they're actually going to be contributing to that pile, which helps.
I will say one thing, and this is a little more technical. So for each burned mortal, you may put 1 blood from the general supply on this card. Create a wraith. Creating a wraith actually does require you to take 1 of the burned mortals out of the burn pile and attach it to the character, and then attach the wraith token to that. So you do have to have a spirit. So you are pulling a spirit. I kind of forgot about that for a second. Sure. You are pulling a spirit out of the burn pile, attaching it to your character. So that does make it one of your 3 allowed attachments. The token goes onto the card, so the token does not count as a second. It is 1 attachment to have a wraith.
Real quick, Tobin asking about the erotic cards from previous sets. Are they coming with this expansion? And they are not. This was too far down the pipeline.
Yeah.
So they will still be in a future product.
Yeah, this expansion was already being produced at the factory by the time. So I think, can we tell them when it is coming?
I believe it's the expansion after this one. So it'll be this year.
The one right after this, yeah.
it's going to be
After Shadow,
little
yeah, the
different
one.
and some cool stuff.
So not April, but sometime in the early summer.
Yep, that is the plan. So Katie, let's take a look at the Wraith that I sent you. Yeah, Bob, we can confirm that there are additional expansions beyond this one being worked on. So
Yeah.
don't worry about that, folks. So Wraiths, there are multiple different types of Wraith on the punch board.
Yeah, there's 6 different Wraith. There's six different Wraith tokens. Each one has different text, but they all have relentless, flip / exhaust, and then some effect. The Wraith tokens are shuffled and placed into a stack, and you're going to have your own set of 6. It's not a general supply thing. It's kind of like your no influence tokens. You grab them when you need them, right? But you have your own stack of 6. Someone else playing Wraiths will bring their own stack of 6. You can even bring a stack of Wraiths when you're not playing anything that has Wraiths, just to throw people off if you want. So with the relentless ability, there's a new word here, which is flip. We haven't seen that anywhere. So relentless means you can do it during someone else's turn. You can, that token is face down when you first get it. You get to look at it. So
you choose one, you place it on that.
You get it at random.
Created.
You actually have to shuffle the Wraith, your Wraith stack of tokens, and take one at random. You get to look at it, and then you put it text down onto the burned mortal that you attached to your character. And in this case, when this character is attacked, you can flip this card over as a relentless ability, and that will give you the effect of when attacked, the attacker loses 1 blood. Now, this is mentioned in the rules, but you can, because these are 2 separate activations. There's a flip and there's an exhaust. So you can actually use both of them in the same attack if you wish. You can flip it face up, which is only going to happen once, and then you can also exhaust it during that same attack if you wish. Or you can leave the Wraith ready in the ready position so that you can exhaust it during another attack if that might be targeting your character. Yeah.
Are all the Wraiths triggered when attacked?
No, they are not.
Okay.
There are different ones. They're not all when attacked. Yeah. They're not.
So they all have some trigger and the ability to then do a thing.
They all have flip exhaust, I think, but they're not even all relentless, because some of them don't need to be relentless. You'll see. So
so there's some variety, and you pick one of these. You pick one at random, but you'll know what it is, and that's a little thing that your opponents have to play around.
They actually are all relentless with flip and exhaust, because you have to know when you can flip it for the effect, even if it's not during an attack or whatnot.
And Tobin's asking, does the character who has this Wraith gain the mortal's ability, like a Vagrant, their ability to prevent damage?
No, right. That it is actually attached face down. That is a good question. Yeah, and that's in the rules. You attach the spirit that you pulled out of the city deck burn pile. You place it face down, so it's just a holder for this Wraith token, which is actually about, it's about the size of a 50-cent piece, if anyone is over 40 and knows what that is.
See, once again, dating yourself, Matt.
Yeah, it's the size of an Oreo cookie. There, how about that?
And you can't be a meat shield when you're not made of meat and you're just a Wraith now.
Right.
So okay, cool. That's a fun little
yeah. And like I said, there's 6 different ones. They all have, I think they're all relentless, and they're all flip exhaust, because you need something to tell you to flip it. Granted, you're only going to get to do that doubling trick once, because once it's face up, you can't flip it again. But it will ready at the start of each of your turns, and you'll be able to use the exhaust ability from then on.
Pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
so that first reveal, the first time it gets flipped, if you do the double duty, it's like a pretty big surprise. So that can be fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of nasty.
And
Do you
Colonial
choose the
Bob
mortal
is
you pull
asking,
from the burn
oh,
pile?
yeah, do you choose? Yes, you choose which mortal you want to pull from the burn pile.
So it
So
could be a
yeah,
way to counter a Nosferatu deck who wants those vagrants to come back.
right. What happens to the fate? Another question. What happens to the face down mortal attached to character when it is defeated? I gotta look.
That's a deep cut into the rules interactions.
Yeah, I think I don't remember that off the top of my head now.
Well, while Matt is looking that up,
Yeah.
we did a cool. Well, we didn't do anything. Renegade did a cool thing for Christmas for the staff. You may have seen some of these images on social media, but what Matt and Scott and one of the art directors, I think, did was commission art of all of the Renegade staff as vampires. And we are going to appear in the game over the next, year and a half or so. That accurate, Matt? Roughly?
Yeah, they'll appear over time. Mm-hmm.
So I pulled a couple of the pictures. I pulled mine. I pulled some of the other people you've seen on the stream, like Sarah Erickson, our VP of Sales and Marketing, Dan Blanchett, who's the developer of the previous expansion, Katie, who is actually running the stream right now, and if Matt wants to show it, his as well. So Katie, if you want to throw up one of those art pieces, we can show off. These are just...
Let me mention real quick, I'll just read it right out of the rule book. So yeah. When a vampire goes into torpor, any wraiths attached to them are removed from the game. The mortal card is not returned to the city deck burn pile, and the token does not go back to the wraith stack. So
Okay.
You are limited to a grand total of 6 wraiths, by the way.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So this art here is Dan Blanchett, who designed The Wolf and the Rat. You can maybe speculate about which clan these may be, but we're not going to give any spoilers. Some of them are easier than others, but I think this is a really, really cool Christmas gift. I'm really excited to see myself in the game. And Matt did a great job going through kind of, not creeping's the wrong word, but researching his coworkers to come up with neat little nods to their personality or themselves. So Dan Blanchett, a game designer here at Renegade. And then Katie, let's see another one. That is yours truly. It's actually based on a picture of my toddler who's standing behind fire looking very kind of badass, and
Looking
like
totally badass, yeah.
The look on me too. And yeah, I'm excited to see that physically. Gotta get a playmat made of my own my own face. This is Sarah Erickson, and it features her puppy Tracer there in the background, which is a really cool nod.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys you may not have actually seen Katie, but Katie is the one behind the stream, there with camera in hand, documenting what's going on.
Katie does all of our video services, and so why not just sell off one of those sweet cameras that she's been using for some quick cash, right?
And then last but not least, the lead designer himself, Mr. Matt Hyra. So we have one of these for everybody in the company, which is really, really neat.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we will show some more another time, but I wanted to at least show off some of these from the people that y'all have seen on the stream and have interacted with. It was a really fun Christmas present, and just keep an eye out. Some of these will be showing up these will all be showing up in the game at some point.
Yes, they will.
Yeah, lots of speculation about clans there. I like to see it.
Yeah, we're not going to confirm any speculation on clan right now, but we like speculation. It's fun. It gives people something to chat about on Discord. So yep. I'm sure all of these will end up in a spoiler thread. So people will have fun doing that.
Somebody's asking about the Prince of Indianapolis. That artwork is in progress as well. So yeah,
Yep.
we are working on that, and we will have him in the game as well as future Prince winners. So
Mhm.
a lot of ways to have. We're going to have a bounty of art for vampires from different sources, which is kind of cool. I like to see
Yeah.
that showing up.
Coyote asks, will these be promos or in a set? We are going to try to get them all into sets. If it doesn't work out for whatever reason, then we'll turn them into promos. But I would hope that all of them would make it into sets.
The company is only about 20 people, so like, the company is just not that big.
Well, we did, yeah, we did a few of our partners, you know, have art as well. So yeah.
But this isn't like 100 people or anything like that.
Yeah. I think we can say we covered all the clans for the employee art. So
yep, we did. So somebody asking, when can we pre-order? You can pre-order starting right now. So those of you who are outside the United States, just head to the vampirecardgame.com, click shop there, and you can pre-order this. You can pre-order some of the earlier stuff, and you can still pre-order or just order the OP kits that exist so far. So it's a way for you guys to get those if you're in some of these different regions that we don't normally serve.
I've got a question about, do we have shipments to Mexico going?
I believe that this pre-order will ship to Mexico too.
Okay.
If not, Eli Montello, if it doesn't, as I don't know off the top of my head right now, shoot me an email. It's just mac.holland@renegadegames.com, and I will look into getting something set up for you guys. But for everybody else, pretty much, I know a lot of Canadians have been waiting to get OP kits, who wanted to make sure they could get these promo cards. Your best option is through the vampirecardgame.com website. If you have your own web store in the UK, the US, or the European Union, go ahead and use that, or the Vampire site. It doesn't matter. Same free shipping cutoff for both of them. So please go ahead, pre-order. We will be teasing more about the content of this expansion coming up. And we will have a lot of news about organized play in 2022 here. It should be this month with actual dates.
Yeah, that answers Coyote's question about Prince of the City events. Yeah, very soon, probably this month. Can we just say that?
Yeah, I said January, we will have news, dates, and a
Great.
lot of information about what organized play is going to look like this year. And I am pretty confident people are going to be pretty excited and happy to hear what the plan is. So that is it for tonight. Finishing up just before 8 o'clock. Shadows and Shrouds, available to pre-order now, coming in just a couple of months. 10 clans in the game at that point, and a lot of exciting stuff coming. A reminder, if you are running events, please go ahead and submit those events on the event listings so I can approve them. Just makes it easier for people to find those and more people to get playing Rivals. So everyone, thanks for tuning in. Happy to be back from the holidays and be grinding away.
Good way to kick it off, like they were saying. This is an exciting way to kick off the new year right here. So a little late Christmas present.
Absolutely. So everyone, I hope you guys had a great holiday like we did, and we will be back next week with more news and information. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.